This is a nosebleed perspective, and we are so stoked to have our top 10 quarterback rankings fantasy wise coming at you right now. And I think we should just start this thing off right now with the top 10, number 10 in our fantasy quarterback rankings. Boys, this is where I
I just
put.
spilled so
Oh,
much beer.
so all right. Cheech has got a lot of beer in his cup. That's okay. We're rolling. We've been drinking. That's okay. Number 10, Josh Allen for me. Look, dude, this dude, he's been a guy in the league who's progressively gotten better. He was QB 11 last year, which means he's probably going to get a little better. QB 11 in terms of fantasy points per game, I shall say. He has a great receiving core that, I think it's a great receiving core. Stephon Diggs being added to those receivers. Cole Beasley to me is going to be a guy who a lot of people should take in their wide receivers in their late rounds. I think it just complements Stephon Diggs complements his strengths very well. I like him. I hope he falls to me, but I doubt he does because I think people started or have started or will start to catch on to him and know that he is a threat during fantasy. If he does fall to you in late rounds, take him. If you're sitting around, Gibby, I don't know what round he's going in. If you're looking to need that up, but if he's
Ninth.
ninth, okay, maybe that's a little too sweet for me
Oh,
because I hate quarterbacks. But for me, if he does fall a little bit later than that, I'm definitely taking Josh Allen. I love him this year. I feel like he's going to take a good step forward. So look out for Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills.
All right. So at number 10, I got a guy who's going in the late 8th round, but I feel like, at least a couple of my leagues, he's going to go way before that. I got Tom Brady. This has a lot less to do with Tom Brady than it does the fact that he has every single piece that he needs around him to be a successful fantasy quarterback. Tom Brady is brilliant. Tom Brady does what the system needs him to do, but now he's in a completely different system. So it's going to be tough. There's going to be a little risk here, but he's got all the talent in the world around him.
yeah. Picture this: you're a quarterback that has two wide receivers that finished in the top four in wide receivers last year. You have two tight ends that one has proven himself before he retired, and then the other one crushed it in college, has had a little bit of adversity since he's been in the NFL, however, can still do it. And then just signed Shady McCoy. Tom Brady is in a position to succeed as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback. Number 10, Tom Brady. Like, this dude is, you can't go wrong with him. He's proven himself for the past 20 seasons, and now he has two great wide receivers, two great tight ends, and I don't want to say a deep run game because Ronald Jones should not be a running back that you draft. Obviously, we've talked running backs, and I've roasted Rojo already, but
Oh, Rojo, I love that.
New nickname.
I just don't. Tom Brady can do it. He's got the puzzle pieces to put the puzzle together. So Tom Brady, number 10.
Yeah, so you guys are kind of on the same track as me. Number 9, I have Tom Brady too. It's a dude in this offense. Gibby's talked shit about how he's going to be super unsuccessful in this Bruce Arians offense, but in that Bruce Arians offense, you have to look at how the quarterbacks have performed in the past, man. Jameis Winston in points per game was number 3 in the league last year. Obviously, he had a lot of turnovers. He had a lot of issues, but Tom Brady is going to be smarter with the football. He's definitely going to hit a lot of checkdowns. You talked about the tight ends. You talked about the wide receivers. I feel like I don't have to hit on it anymore. Don't reach for Tom, but if Tom falls to you in a situation where you're comfortable with him, take old Tom Brady. That's who I have at number 9.
So I got number 9. I've got a guy that you all have already shamed in Carson Wentz. He has more pass attempts inside the 5-yard line than any other quarterback, and that is just a perfect he's been with his coach. He's been with the system. It's just a perfect recipe for a good fantasy season. His running game is going to get better, which should hopefully get his crappy wide receivers more open. But in the red zone, I mean, he's got 2 beast tight ends. Like, these guys start anywhere else in the league besides maybe 3 other teams. So I really like that. The wide receiver ding is why he's not above a couple other guys on this list. But even with that, he doesn't go up too much higher. I really like Carson Wentz. He's going in the last pick of the 9th round. Could be a good grab there.
Yeah, definitely could
Not
be.
bad.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I think Miles Sanders though in the red zone you talked about, I think he eats up some of those touches though, because I think they believe in him a little more. But hey, we'll see what Carson Wentz does. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how many games Carson Wentz has played where they got into the 5. Anyway, so at number 9, this is where I got Matty Ice. This dude has obviously proven he can sling it. He's got wide receivers in Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. And then Austin Hooper was an absolute stud. They lost him. And instead of just like going down on the weekend in the tight end game, they got Hayden Hurst, who arguably is just a younger Austin Hooper. So,
Fair point.
yeah. So, like, Matty Ice did not lose a target. Matty Ice did not lose somebody with hands. Obviously, every single year that a dude gets older, his caliber goes down a little bit. But the dude can still play the game, and he has a lot of football in him, I think. And I think that also adding Todd Gurley in the backfield just adds like a certain degree of like fear. And I think that there's gonna be a lot of play action in this offense next year, and the Falcons are just gonna surprise a lot of people, and Matty Ice is gonna be a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, Hayden Hurst is a guy who people are not thinking about, talking about. He's not on their radar at all, but he was overshadowed by somebody who came out a couple of years ago, and Mark Andrews, and just kind of lit up the league at the tight end position. So if Hayden Hurst can be somebody who replaces Austin Hooper, who I think he can.
Yeah, he's got hands.
Yeah, Matty Ice is somebody to, maybe look at. I'm not going to say early ever with quarterbacks, but, All right, yeah, good point, though. Okay, number 8, right? Yeah.
Yep.
All right, that's where I put Aaron Rodgers, man. I love Aaron Rodgers fantasy value-wise. I've never had him ever in fantasy just because he's not a guy who ever falls to somebody who doesn't like quarterbacks. He has had nothing in the wide receiver core last couple of years. He finished QB 14 last year, and points per game, 17.4 points per game. But Devontae Adams was out a few games. He's not somebody I'm taking with my top 7, 8 quarterbacks, but somebody to pay attention to, because if people ignore him in your fantasy league, which I doubt they do, honestly, because the name, we talked about the name, how important the name is in fantasy. But I do like him to be on that revenge tour kind of thing, with Jordan Love being selected in the first round with the Packers. So look out for Aaron Rodgers. If he's there, it's hard. He's right in that area for me where he's not going to ever be available, but you want to have him on your team. So, yeah, Aaron Rodgers going to finish top 10 next year. Book it.
Okay. For me, I got a nosebleed favorite in Matty Snapback.
Let's go!
He's just a stud, man. This dude, I've said it before. I had someone message me and tell me I was crazy for saying that he was Patrick Mahomes before Patrick Mahomes, but just a different time era. I think he can still put up 5,000 yards, and if he doesn't break his back last year, I mean, who knows what. He was on pace to do a lot of things. Lions lost a lot of close games. They're going to be behind, which is great for my quarterback in fantasy. I think they're going to be trailing. So I like Snapback. If he's there in the 10th, man, I'm taking him.
I like it. So number 8. This is going to – I'm not even sure if you guys have him in your honorable mention, if you guys just don't even care about this quarterback. But this is where I got Kyler Murray. This is where I got my 10-6 Arizona Cardinals. This dude is fast. This dude is Lamar Jackson with a worse O-line. Um,
Fair.
Well, I mean,
and I think that the Arizona Cardinals did Kyler Murray justice in giving him DeAndre Hopkins. I think that the combination of Hopkins plus Fitzgerald plus Christian Kirk, right?
Yep.
I think that the wide receiver core on the Arizona Cardinals is just filthy. I don't know if you guys have played Madden recently against the Miami Dolphins in our 2028 season that we're in, but Christian Kirk is an absolute stud. He's an X factor. He's a beast. So I'd watch out for Christian Kirk. I'd watch out for this entire Arizona Cardinals offense. Kyler Murray can, one, throw the ball. We've learned that. Somehow at 5'9", he can see over his O-lineman. And then he's so fast, too. He's a super mobile quarterback. I think that the Arizona Cardinals exploit his actual abilities this season. And Kyler Murray just stands out and he does some damage in fantasy football.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think he does too. So we're gonna go ahead and move on though to number 7, and this is where I put somebody who's probably unpopular opinion, Russell Wilson. I'm never gonna have him on my fantasy team. It's okay. I'm never gonna have any of these top 10 to 15 guys on my fantasy team. Never, not once, and I'm okay with that. But I do think Russell Wilson obviously has a lot to give to this game. He finished last year QB 5 points per game. I don't think that holds up, to be honest with you, with the O-line changes, the defensive changes that have happened, and him having to put the team even more on his back. I don't see the Seattle Seahawks being a team next year that is the team they even were last year, to be honest with you. And that's trying to take my biases out completely. But I have Russell Wilson here. I just feel like the guys before him are going to have a better – do I think Russell Wilson is going to win some games next year solely by himself with the team on his back? Absolutely, 100%. We have to think fantasy value purpose now. Like fantasy value-wise, throughout the season, Russell Wilson obviously is going to be a QB1. He's going to be a top QB, but for me, I don't see him finishing with the numbers statistical wise, finishing within the top 5. So that's what I have.
All right. So at number 7, I've got the best rushing quarterback in the league, and Josh Allen. He led the league last year with 9 rushing touchdowns, and that's where all the fantasy points are. But, he had Diggs. In all seriousness, he does add Diggs, and, he's got a cannon, but the kid, he just slings it. He's that young kid on Madden who just slings the rock and hopes for something, runs trick plays, pitches the ball. So, I would love to have him on my team, and I think maybe I could. He's going in the 9th, and I think if I set my team up all right, I could grab him, but them rushing yards are still going to be there. Them touchdowns are still going to be there. You all know I'm not a believer in that backfield for the running back, so that's why I have Josh Allen so high.
Yeah, it's hard to
all right.
Do you think he actually? I'm sorry, Cheech, go ahead.
No. I want to hear what you have to say.
I'm just like, do you think Josh Allen actually falls to a position like you're willing to take him at quarterback? Because for me, I would love to have Josh Allen, but I feel like there's no chance. But do you think that the average fantasy goer takes him, at a respectable position?
No, because I think, as we talk about the name, I think Josh Allen kind of falls off the radar, even with the Stephon Diggs trade and everything. I mean, sports haven't been around, so it's not in the news all the time. People are kind of laying off the Matt Ryans, the Drew Brees, the Cam Newton, the Big Roethlisberger, all of them guys I think are going to go before him. And then I don't think anyone wants Josh Allen as a backup that are taking that. So for me, if I can get my starting running backs, my starting wide receivers, a backup for each, so, that's 6 rounds. I mean, I don't care about tight ends. We'll get into that. And then a couple depth guys. Like, I'm way cool with Josh Allen coming in the 9th round. I'm way fine with taking a quarterback in the 9th round.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, he was QB 11 last year.
Yeah.
11.
Yeah,
And-
if Josh Allen's available in the 9th round, like I would give my first kid away for that.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I like you guys are in a different position than me, where you guys are like a more emotional tie to your first kid because it's on the way. But like my first kid, I'll just give it away. But number 7 for me, and obviously, I'm naming quarterbacks now that you guys haven't named, so I'm like really curious about like you guys.
Oh.
I'm paying attention right now.
love
but
it.
number 7 is Deshaun Watson. This is now a dude who is losing the quarterback losing the wide receiver that I just talked about in DeAndre Hopkins, who's going to make Kyler Murray better. But I still think that Deshaun Watson has the ability to be better than Kyler Murray because, I mean, he has Will Fuller, who's a speedster. He's got Randall Cobb, who has proven he can catch the ball. He's got now Brandon Cooks, who, if he stays healthy, will contribute to the team. Who do they have over there? Tight end Darren Fells. He can catch the football. In the backfield, they're kind of in an interesting situation. I like David Johnson. I put him way higher than you guys did in our running back episode. And they also have Duke Johnson. I don't know. I feel like Deshaun Watson still has a football team that's built around him winning. And because this is going to be a franchise that wants to win and will win, he's going to score a few more touchdowns and just put up that little bit of number disparage between him and Kyler Murray. And that's why Deshaun Watson's number 7 for me.
Okay. Hey, number 6. I have a man you guys have already talked about, but he's been sitting at home during the coronavirus pandemic, resting that back, getting healthy, learning everything he needs to learn about his wide receivers. Matthew Stafford is going to be a guy who's going to win you your fucking league next year.
Number 6.
I'm telling you, Matt Stafford is fine. He's not even that. I don't even know how old he is, but he's not even that. He's not Tom Brady, Drew Brees. He's not in that realm yet. He's a guy who is an absolute beast. So last year when Jeff Driscoll came in and took the role of starting quarterback last year, he was QB 8 of the whole league last year. QB 8 when Jeff Driscoll played out of those 3 games. That means that receiving core and that offensive scheme is ready to throw the fucking ball down the field. I'm a huge believer in Matt Stafford. We've all kind of talked about him. I think you guys are too, but you're not sold to put him in your top 10 or whatever, wherever you
It's
put
just
him.
their football team. Like, Stafford obviously can eat it, but the football team is why I don't believe in him.
Do I think this football team's going to win a lot of games? Absolutely. Probably not. I mean, it's the Lions, but Matt Stafford is going to be coming back. He's going to be in close games every week. He's going to be neck and neck every single week. We saw it last year. They almost beat the Chiefs last year. It was really close. But Matt Stafford, if he can – I mean, it's a big if. I think he can stay healthy with everything going on. I think he's resting that back, just massaging that back, just getting ready for 2020. Matt Stafford is going to be a guy, hopefully, who goes early out of respect for his name, but I don't think he's going to be someone who goes top, 6, 7, 8 rounds. I don't know, Gibby. I don't know.
10th.
Okay. 10th. I think if Matt Stafford is available, because no chance I have a quarterback in the 10th round. Like, that's never going to happen for me. So if Matt Stafford is available in the 10th, I would probably see where my draft position is and risk it going in the 11th and 12th, honestly, because Matt Stafford is a guy who's going to be an absolute beast. We talked about Jeff Driscoll, Drew Blau, or I don't know his name.
Yeah.
He even came off as somebody who was going to get you fantasy points. We're not talking about the Detroit Lions here. We're talking about fantasy point value. Somebody who's going to sling that ball downfield towards 2 receivers who have a nose for the end zone in Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones. I'm just saying, next year, at the end of the year, Matt Stafford will be here. So that's who I have.
All right. So at 6, I got Russell Wilson. This man was the best fantasy quarterback through the first 9 weeks of the season, but then from week 10 on, whenever it really matters, he was outside of the top 15. So it all just depends on, what offense are we going to get. And I think it all comes down to, how well their running backs are going to play and just that running back situation over there in general. It's not about talent for Russell Wilson. I've been a Russell Wilson hater for a long time. I'm finally grown up and matured and realized that, now that everything's not handed to him, that he can step up, and he has maybe the prettiest deep ball in the NFL right now. So that's why I'm at 6.
Nice. Yeah, so 6 for me is a dude that's already been talked about, Josh Allen. And it hurts me as a Jets fan, as an AFC East guy. I obviously want Sam Darnold to be the best quarterback in this division, but he's obviously not. Josh Allen has the ability to throw the ball 80 yards probably. The dude's mobile. He's quicker than you would expect. He now has Stephon Diggs. He also has John Brown, who was a huge sleeper as a wide receiver last year. I think that the Buffalo Bills offense is surprisingly better than people think. And Josh Allen's really going to deliver in the fantasy realm this season. And so that's why Josh Allen's a number 6 for me. I'm the same way as Logs, though. I'm just not drafting a quarterback early enough before I have my skill positions filled. So 9th round, 8th round, if he's available, we'll see. I don't know. But Josh Allen, dude's obviously a stud.
Josh Allen is going to be the guy next year. Just wait.
He's a game changer.
All right, so we are on number, 5?
5.
Top 5. Okay.
Top 5.
All right, I put number 5, Mr. Dak Prescott. I had Dak Prescott in my fantasy league last year, or our fantasy league last year, I should say. I got him like way late. Nobody wanted Dak last year. He worked out for me pretty good. I think that his ability to get the ball downfield with that offensive line is pretty good, and I think you just have to pay attention to what the weapons he does have with CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield. He's going to be able to spread the ball downfield. I like him to put up pretty good fantasy numbers this year. If you can get him, grab him. Obviously, like I said, any of these top 10 guys are not going to be they're going to be way too rich for me. So I'm not going to take him, but I like Dak at number 5 here.
So at number 5, I've also got a stud quarterback in Deshaun Watson. Last year, people just don't talk about this guy, and I don't get it. But last year, he was only the 3rd quarterback in NFL history, and it's kind of a weird stat, but to throw for 3,800 yards, rush for 400 yards, and have 7 rushing touchdowns, which is a pretty specific numbers. And as we said, we can make stats say whatever we want, but for only 3 people in NFL history to do that, it's still something you got to put with that. And then them numbers it's just great. Like, it's all about stats. I am worried about Hopkins being gone, but this guy's going to be super motivated. He's about to get paid, as we talk about guys, coming up on their contracts. He's just one of them guys that I would enjoy having on my team as long as he falls.
Yeah. So talking about contracts, talking about somebody that's already been talked about, Dak Prescott for me, number 5 also. This is a dude that he got franchise tagged, and he's trying to prove to the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones that he's a $40 million quarterback. A lot of people don't believe that he is what he thinks he is and that he's worth what he thinks he's worth. So I think this is the season that Dak Prescott absolutely slings that rock and proves it. I mean, like, they drafted a wide receiver. They have Amari Cooper already. They've got Zeke in the backfield. I mean, Dak Prescott is literally being handed every tool he could possibly need in life to be a Super Bowl quarterback. O-line's nasty. defense has solid capabilities. Wide receivers are filthy. Running back is top 2 in the league. All we need is Dak to just prove that he can manage a football game, and the Dallas Cowboys can be a football team that they were in the past. They can be a Super Bowl contender. They can be a Super Bowl player. We just need to see the game manager in Dak. And I think that that's going to be what gets Dak paid or not. But this dude, number 5, Dak Prescott, it's a no-brainer for me.
I think regardless what happens with the Cowboys, what gets Dak paid is the win total. So if they make the playoffs and win a game or whatever, but it'll be interesting to see what Travis Frederick. That was a big loss on the
yeah. He's the best center in the league.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what transpires with that. So anyway, we are in the top 4, right?
Yep.
All right, that's where I put Deshaun Watson. I love this dude. He's been nothing but a baller since he came out of the ACC in Clemson. I think with the receivers he does have, obviously he did lose DeAndre Hopkins last year, but I feel like he's still going to be a guy who's going to put up big numbers, man. It's Deshaun Watson. I mean, he's a beast, man. He knows how to get the ball downfield. So just look out for him. And obviously I'm never going to be a person who has him on my league. He finished QB2 last year, which was, pretty good, obviously, for quarterbacks. Mr. Patrick Mahomes finished QB5. So just keep that in mind. He only played 15 games. Obviously, he missed one, but I don't know, man. I like Deshaun Watson, even with the loss of DeAndre Hopkins. Keep an eye out for him. If you have the capability to taking him, if you have like a really good first 3 rounds and you're – because I feel like the first couple picks in the draft are going to go to Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, blah, blah, blah. Look out for Deshaun Watson. If you have you have to have like the perfect first couple picks to take a quarterback this early. So but anyway, yeah, he's my number 4.
So at number 4, I got Kyler Murray. He was a top 5 fantasy quarterback weeks 1 through 11, but then he got a little banged up down the stretch, and then he adds Hopkins. Like, come on, man. This guy can run. We love run-in points for fantasy quarterbacks. The big question is just, can that O-line give him time? That's all it comes down to. Kyler Murray's ceiling comes to the 5 men up front of him.
Yeah, so talking about a quarterback who just needs time. Baker Mayfield.
Oh, my.
Baker Mayfield is my number 4 quarterback in the NFL this fantasy football season. I think that Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry and Austin Hooper and David Njoku and Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are just going to absolutely blow the fuck up. This offense is going to be gnarly this season. Baker Mayfield is going to make you regret not drafting him in fantasy football. If you don't take him, this is a dude that, like, in the 6th round, I'm probably taking him because the Browns are going to be just – the Browns offense is so gnarly and set up to just make you regret life.
Oh, my God.
Baker Mayfield is going to give you nightmares in fantasy football. And as somebody who literally has nightmares about fantasy football, I can't afford to play against Baker Mayfield this season.
Gibby, do you have his average draft position at all? It's
Last
okay.
pick in the 12th round.
So
disrespect.
You're taking him somewhere between the 6th and the 12th, huh? Cheech.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean,
the dude is just like, their offense is too good to not believe in Baker Mayfield. Like, you have to be Helen Keller to not score touchdowns with this offense.
He might be. So.
He might be a blind, deaf girl. Who knows?
Oh my god.
But
all right, so we'll move on, I guess. It's a hot take. Number 3.
you guys don't have him. You guys don't have him in your top
had him.
20.
I barely.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
He was my like number 22, whatever. Anyway, so number 3, right?
Yep.
Number 3.
All right, this is where it pains me to say, but I put Patrick Mahomes here. And it's not because I don't think Patrick Mahomes is obviously the best quarterback in the league. I think he 100% is. But week in, week out, I don't think he puts up the numbers that are acceptable for a top quarterback, two quarterback, I should say, in the league, fantasy-wise. So, yeah, like I'm skeptical of him. He finished QB5 last year, points per game. Obviously, he sometimes he just makes like these decisions that are not so, Gibby probably hates me right now, but he is top 3. So
Blind passes, just I don't know.
I'm not a believer in him being a top 2 or 3 fantasy. Talking about straight points, I'm trying to put I do think he's the best quarterback in the league, 100%. Patrick Mahomes, I want him on my team more than anybody else. But fantasy-wise, I'm just like, I can't take him within my first 3 picks, or 2 picks, sorry. So,
yeah, for sure. You make a good point because you got to put ranking these quarterbacks is not the ranking of who I think is the best quarterback.
Absolutely.
It's all about opportunity, points, stats, and that lines up perfectly with Dak Prescott. I have him at number 3. In the real world, you can dog on him. You can say, like, he's got every weapon around him. He's got the top 3 O-line his whole career, top 3 running back his whole career, top 3 wide receivers in separation. So that means he's got more space to throw the ball to than anyone else. But in fantasy, and even I feel like I'm disrespecting this guy at 3, you cannot – he's finished quarterback 1 the last 4 years in a row. Like, how do we keep putting this guy outside of this? So –
I think I got him like
not the quarterback 1, a quarterback 1. So top 12.
Okay, I was about to say. I was gonna let it slide,
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say, that's
but like to your point, I got him like round like 12 or 13 last year. I think in our league, I picked him up.
So it's just crazy, this guy he's gonna give you points. Like, there's too many weapons, there's too many opportunities. He's not a top 15 quarterback in the league in my eyes, but his fantasy, he's top 3. He could be the best again. He could be the best quarterback in fantasy this year. He really could.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And he was a rough dude to put on my list. But at number 3, I've got Russell Wilson here. And that's just like based off of just the fact that every single year the Seattle Seahawks offense is like blessed with Russell Wilson's capability of finding a human being that can put the ball in the end zone. It doesn't matter who you are or what you can do or how long you've been in the NFL or how long you've even been catching footballs. Russell Wilson can feed you that ball and put you in the end zone. Their running back game is a good 2-headed beast between Carlos Hyde, who is a little older, and then Chris Carson, who is just constantly proving himself. Their wide receiver game is another 2-headed beast between Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Their tight end game, they got Greg Olsen, who is a little older and has had some injuries, but continues to always catch the football when it's thrown his way when he is healthy. Luke Wilson was just a random guy that could score touchdowns. Will Dissly, another random guy that could just score touchdowns. I think that Russell Wilson is just absolutely surrounded by dudes who score touchdowns. Plus, he is the game manager. This dude he knows how to manage the clock. He knows how to manage throwing and running. And other than being told to throw the ball in the 2-yard line in the Super Bowl when he threw a pick, this guy can sling it and can play the ball and can just play that management role. that is so important as a quarterback. Obviously, like we've already said, this is wide receiver. This is all about the points that the quarterback's going to score. So it's about hitting their wide receivers and hitting their running backs and hitting their tight ends. But Russell Wilson's going to do that. He's going to score you points in fantasy football this season.
It's a good point. You make a lot of good points about the quarterback position, giving that ball to the tight ends, to the running backs, and that's why I have it number 2. Kyler Murray is going to be a guy next year.
I like it because of the bets. I like it.
I have to put everything aside and think about fantasy. I think that he's going to be a person who has opened up the passing game. I think he's going to definitely expand on what he knows. Cliff Kingsbury has he's a guy who's, he is the offense. So there's going to be a lot of passing lanes opened up. All right, I haven't even talked. DeAndre Hopkins, come on. He's the best receiver in the league almost, with Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, and somebody who can run the fucking ball. We saw what Lamar Jackson did last year in fantasy. Let's talk about fantasy. Obviously, I don't see them making the playoffs, but we're talking about fantasy here. Kyler Murray is going to be a top 2 quarterback in fantasy next year. If you can get him in 4th, 5th round, I don't know where he's going, Gibby, if you have that. But obviously, I'm not going to have any of these top 10 quarterbacks because I'm not going to reach for anybody. But, man, Kyler Murray, in my opinion, is going to be a guy next year who's going to finish in the top 2, 1, 2. He's going to be a guy in 2022 where we're thinking about, oh, man, should I take him in the first couple of rounds as a quarterback? Even as a quarterback. So look out for him with those weapons. So that's my guy, number 2.
He's going in the 5th.
Yeah. So
I'm not going to reach for starting wide receivers, starting running backs. And take flyer on him.
I'm not going to reach for him. I'm never going to have him on my team. But I think next year, at the end of the year, we're looking at Kyler Murray like, holy shit, this dude can do a lot of stuff in the end zone.
When they're 10-6.
Statistical wise.
10-6 Arizona Cardinals.
So when you're playing fantasy, you got to put all biases aside. Nothing matters more than just getting points. So I've got the best player in the NFL at number 2 in Patrick Mahomes. There's nothing more to say. He's just the best player in the NFL. He's going to produce every week. But if you're taking a guy, because he's going to go in the 1st or 2nd round, you need the rushing. You need the rushing yards. You have to. And Mahomes is just never going to have that. He might have a few here and there, but it's just never going to be there consistent. So that's why he's 2.
Yeah. Number 2 for me, Mahomes. Also, not in our league, but in my other league, in my Korea league, Mahomes was the number 1 overall pick. It wasn't a bad pick. The dude made it to the playoffs. But his team just wasn't built to continue that far. Mahomes, obviously, everybody knows what he's capable of doing. I don't need to go into it. Mahomes is also my number 2 quarterback in fantasy.
Yeah, same here. All right, number 1. I fucked up a little bit on my rankings, but I'm going to go number 1. Obviously, Lamar Jackson is a dude who his rushing attack is obviously somebody who is going to take away from anything else. And he's almost a guy you think about. Somebody like me, you think about taking early because his rushing yards, his rushing touchdowns are going to be something that you don't want to pass up on. So I'm taking him number 1 quarterback. So it's my guy. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's all about them rushing yards. So, whenever he broke 1,000 yards last year, that's the equivalent of throwing for 2,500 more yards. So even though he only had 3,000 yards last year, in fantasy point-wise, he would have broke the record for most yards thrown because that would have added up to, 5,500. So, that number of 10, the difference of 10 yards and 25 yards per point is huge for fantasy, and that's why you have to put him at 1. I'm not taking him. I don't care.
Yeah.
There's zero shot I take him. Zero.
He's gonna go so early. I mean,
Second round.
Yeah.
First pick
Yeah.
in the second round.
Absolutely, especially if you have if you have an early first round pick. I could see a lot of people who have like a third overall pick taking Zeke or Saquon, whoever's still available, and then in the second taking Lamar. And I mean that's why I have Lamar number 1 also. This is the third time now. So for running backs, we all have the same one. For wide receivers, we all have the same one. And for quarterbacks, we all have the same one. It's just a no-brainer. Obviously, Lamar Jackson is the most dangerous quarterback in the NFL. This does not mean he is the best one by any means. It's just fantasy point-wise, the dude is going to produce for you. But please, if you're in my league, take him in the first round. If you're not in my league, take him in the third, fourth round. That's all I have to say about Lamar Jackson. He's all right.
I mean, fantasy-wise, it's more than all right. So,
He's all right.
all right, that's been our top 10 fantasy quarterbacks. So we'll be back with our. Let's see, we're gonna do tight ends
That's all
next.
we got.
Tight ends.
Yeah, tight ends.
Most important position.
All right, well, y'all take care. It's been a Nosebleed Perspective. Subscribe to our channel and like us, follow us on Spotify. Yikes.